and welcome to Full Sport Press. I am Zach.
And I'm Peyton.
Alrighty, let's get right into it. I'll start us off this week with what we saw. So, mine, I was struggling to find something to pick. I didn't have one specific play, but then I remembered on Saturday, we went to the mall a little bit, and I did that typical thing where Megan's trying on clothes, and I'm just kind of sitting in a chair and watching the end of the game. You know, the typical boyfriend husband type thing. And I ended up getting to see the end of the Seattle Dallas game, a game that finished 109 to 103 with a Seattle win. It was absolutely insane. In that game, both Joel Lloyd and Arike Agumbawale score career highs, with Joel Lloyd scoring 39 and Agumbawale scoring 41. Absolutely crazy game on Saturday. And that was definitely the highlight. Both of those players just battling. And it was a close game. At the end, the Wings almost came back and stole it, but Seattle somehow pulled it out. Good games. We love them. What was yours?
Mine, we had two PLL on Saturday. They had two top 10 goals. First one came in Archer's Chaos, long stick midfielder. John Robbins picks up the ball, runs down the field, and the defense defense picks him up, but he is starting to fall, and he has a long pull.
Mm-hmm.
He takes it and just throws it backwards, and it
Yeah, I watched that.
goes in the
Crazy.
goal. I don't know how in the world he did it, but it was an insane shot. That was the first one. The second one was in the game after that, Redwoods versus Whip Snakes, and a name I've mentioned before, and it will probably be a lot more in my what we saw. Ryder Garnsey, he had about 5 goals probably that could have been in the top 10, but he gets this one in the top 3. He has a stick in one hand, takes the other hand off it, and is holding at the end of it. And he's going around his defender. His defender stays on him, and he just brings his stick like over his head like that, and somehow gets it past the goalie. It was nuts. Like I said, he was. I'll talk more about him later. He was insane altogether. But yeah, those 2 goals, if you haven't seen them, Paul Rabel posted them on his Twitter account as top 10 PLL goals. So yeah, check them out because they were crazy.
Yeah, I watched them both right before we started, and they were pretty crazy. Alrighty, going into our game of the weeks last week. I had the Sparks versus the Wings. This was a Wednesday game at 1 o'clock. Weird thing that happens in the WNBA. I don't know why they have these random games on just weekdays. I know I have one I'm going to soon that is the same thing, but whatever. But the Sparks get an upset win, 79 to 61. De'Erica Hamby had just such an impressively efficient 23 points on 10 for 15 shooting. She also hit a 3. Nneka Ogwumike had a 20-point, 10-rebound game. Kalani Brown, who has been a really good replacement for Tierra McCowan while she's been in Turkey, had 21 points for the Wings. She led the scoring, which is just not what you expect on a team that has Satu Sabali and Arike Agumbawale. But and then speaking of Satu Sabali, she had her normal double-double with 14 points, 13 rebounds. A good game. I think it got away from the Wings at the end there, but it's just kind of surprising to see this from the Wings because they've been a contender all season, and the Sparks are good, but definitely should have been, some would think, like an easy win for the Wings. But that's why you play the season. You never know who's going to win what games and how it's going to affect you for the playoffs. What was yours?
Mine was USA, Mexico in the Nations League semifinal. Debut match for U.S. for their Balagun. And we had B.J. Callahan was the manager since Berhalter was not with the team at the moment. U.S. starts off fast, get 2 goals from Pulisic, go up 2-0. And then after that, it kind of gets out of hand. A couple late challenges from Mexico players, a couple fights break out. Red cards are handed out. I believe there were 4 total in the game, 2 for each side get handed out. And then fans are throwing cups and stuff on the field. Pepe scores a goal to make it 3-0. And then it had to be called early because the Mexico fans were shouting a a derogatory term. So,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
Okay.
that's a new
Yeah. I
rule.
remember you telling me that.
Yeah, a new rule in
You told me
international
that.
soccer. If something's being shouted by the fans, then they pause the game, kind of like as a warning. If it happens again, then they just call the match off. And it happened again, and it was pretty much over. It was the 90th minute. US was up 3-0, but it was kind of sad to see it in that way. But yeah, US wins 3-0, straight up domination. It was never close. I just think US is superior right now to Mexico on the soccer field. So
Yeah.
let's go ahead and move on to our next sport, PLL. Let's recap the weekend and then talk about this upcoming week and what we have going on with lacrosse. So, first game of the weekend, Water Dogs Atlas. What a way to start it off. It was, I believe, had to be the most high scoring game of the year. Water Dogs win
Hmm.
19-18.
Wow.
Now, with the Atlas, Trevor Baptiste, their face-off guy, won MVP last year. He absolutely
Hmm.
dominated the face-off. Did not matter. Connor Kelly takes over in the fourth quarter. They were down 4. He had 6 goals total, 3 1-pointers, 3 2-pointers, which is insanity. There really hasn't been that many 2-pointers this year, but he took over, leads the comeback to beat the Atlas. Like I said, Trevor Baptiste set a record in the game for the most faceoffs won ever in a professional, I believe, Premier Lacrosse. I don't know about any professional, but he was 31 for 36. But like I said, not enough to get a win. So that led us
Wow.
off a crazy game to start in Columbus. Then the game after that, Chrome and Cannons. Going into it, Cannons 0-2, Chrome 1-1 with a huge loss to the Archers, which really seemed like they had nothing going in that game. And Cannons win it 14-13, get their first win of the year. Chrome did not look good. Again, they struggled, and Cannons looks like their attack group is really starting to put it together. Now, going on this international break, when we get back, we'll see if it's still the same. But right now, Marcus Holman, Asher Nolting, and Matt Kavanaugh really look like they could lead this group to the playoffs and hopefully beyond because they look like a good squad so far. All right, then going into Saturday, 2 big matchups. First, we had the 2-0 Archers versus the 1-1 Chaos. Chaos beat them 15-10. So that's by 5 goals, which is a pretty big surprise considering Archers were 2-0. And it makes the case, are the Chaos the best team in the league? I would say right now, yes. They have an unbreakable defense, insane goalie. Blaze Reardon, once again, played amazing in that game. And then Josh Byrne, who returned last week from the NLL, he had 5 goals and 2 assists on Saturday, which is a insane game. So leads us into our final game of the weekend: Whip Snakes versus Redwoods. Coming in, the Whip Snakes 0-2, Redwoods 1-1, and the Whip Snakes finally get their first win of the year, 18-11. So a pretty big win, despite Ryder Garnsey, the human highlight reel, having 6 goals, 2 assists. He's making a case for MVP, even though they lost that game. Every week he's on SportsCenter top 10. It feels like he's making plays. He straight up dominated that fourth quarter. He had 1 point, like 3 goals in a row. He had 4 or 5 total in the fourth quarter. He was just unstoppable. But he wasn't enough to get them back from their deficit, considering they were losing 13-3 at halftime. It was always going to be tough. But anyway, just a great weekend all around. All the teams still looking great. Now, we are going into an international break, I guess you would call it. Not normal for the PLL, but beginning this week, we have the World Lacrosse Championships. Now, there are a ton of countries in this. All the games are on ESPN Plus, so you can watch literally any of them.
Nice.
The
Wow.
favorites for it are obviously US and Canada. Those two are always the two that are battling it out. But if you want to cheer for an underdog team, you're going to cheer for the Haudenosaunee.
Wow.
Is
What a
the
name.
Yes, that is like the Native American team. Um,
Hmm.
so they're pretty cool just to have that team on their own. Now, some other notable countries that are in the World Lacrosse Championship, you have Japan, Uganda, Wales, France, Denmark, Australia, England. Pretty much any country you could think of that would be in the World Cup or kind of like that, also in the World Lacrosse Championship. But like I said, U.S. and Canada, heavy favorites.
Hmm.
So yeah, I would definitely watch some of those games because they'll be interesting, especially
Yeah.
seeing countries that aren't known for lacrosse at all and seeing how they play.
Hmm.
That'll be interesting to see.
Yeah. I think that would be cool to see too. Alrighty. Well, Moving on to MLB real quick. I just saw this on TikTok last night. I sent it to the group. Did you see it?
I didn't watch it, but I know what it is.
Know about it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So the Oakland A's, who have decided, they've confirmed, right? They're moving to
I think
Las
it's
Vegas.
if it's not confirmed, it's pretty much like all the
It's
way.
pretty
Yeah.
much. Well, so the fans decided to have a reverse boycott or a reverse protest. So usually for stuff like this, fans won't go to the games, won't pay for tickets, won't watch the games or anything like that. For this, the fans did the opposite. So I know that a lot of them got to the game like 2 hours early and protested in the parking lots. And then when the game started, they had the stadium the place pretty much packed out. This article I'm reading says there were 27,759 fans there, which is over triple the average home game attendance for this season because the A's are not good at all. But during this, fans were chanting, "Sell the team." They had signs that were saying "Sell the team," all that sort of stuff. Basically saying, "Get out of here. If you don't want to be here, just leave." And then I remember one thing I remember specifically from TikTok is that there was one batter that everybody stayed completely silent for, and in the very next batter, they just I can't remember what they chanted, but they just kept chanting something at the pitcher, which was their own pitcher. They were chanting things at the A's pitcher, and it like went so far that like the pitcher couldn't even hear the play or anything like that. It was pretty bad. But a successful reverse boycott, I guess, to get a
Yeah.
message across. I don't know
Well,
what it really does, but I like the drama of
I
it.
don't
I think
know
it's
what
fun.
the message is. I mean, they've been there forever. The attendance just isn't there. Like as much as I want to
Hmm.
be on the side here, like every time I've ever seen a picture of an A's game, there's literally like no one there. So sadly, I feel like it was always going to be coming, but now when they're
Yeah.
actually leaving, they decide to show up is interesting. I guess I don't know. I don't know how to feel about it.
Yeah. Well, the A's, who are 19-50
Yeah,
so far this season, ended up winning this game 2-1. So I mean, it's just one of those games they kind of got away from the Rays. But the Rays are 48-22. I think still the best record, right, in
probably.
baseball. So yeah. But yeah, that's all.
All right, so moving on to soccer. Let's go ahead and finish off our little Nations League recap. Like I said earlier, U.S. beats Mexico in the semifinal. Canada beat Panama in the semifinal. In CONCACAF, it's kind of U.S., Canada, Mexico. No one really is on that level. Panama put up a good fight, but it was never going to be close, really. So going into the Nations League final, U.S. was without Weston McKennie, and they were without Sergino Dest, who both got red cards. But they filled in with Brendan Harrison and Joe Scally. And let me tell you, Joe Scally and Brendan Harrison did an amazing job, helped shut down Alphonso Davies, who is Canada's big player, plays for Bayern Munich. And they ended up winning the league or the Nations League 2-0. We had a goal from Chris Richards, his first international goal from U.S. from a corner, assisted by Gio Reyna. And Valerian Balogun gets his first U.S. international goal, also assisted by Gio Reyna. So after that, U.S. kind of establishes himself as the best team in CONCACAF, and it doesn't even really look close. They dominated both Mexico and Canada. And then the news came out, I believe it was either during the Mexico game or right before it, that they were bringing back Greg Berhalter as the U.S.
Mm.
manager. Now, there's a ton of backlash right now on Twitter about it.
Hmm.
Because he
Yeah, it
was
seems
he was kind
interesting.
of let go, or they kind of parted ways. They hired this big firm to do this coaching search. There's names thrown out there, and then what do? They rehire Greg Berhalter.
Hmm.
A lot of people don't feel like he uses the players the right way. There was a big controversy between him and Gio Reyna's parents, which is a big reason Gio Reyna didn't play much of the World Cup. And hopefully that does not continue because Gio Reyna is looking like one of the best players going forward for the U.S. team. So there's a lot of questions about how this is going to work out. Hopefully some players he's wronged in the past, he's realized that they're really good. Gio Reyna,
Hmm.
Ricardo Pepi, all those were left or either left off the World Cup team or not played very much in the World Cup. So hopefully he's learned some lessons, and we're going to move through to the 2026 World Cup, which we host as a strong team.
Yeah.
But it is a little concerning. Reminds me of the Hornets
I
a little
mean,
bit.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. It's like the same thing that the Hornets did, and that hasn't worked out at all. Um, so yeah, interesting.
Yeah, we'll see. There's just kind of a wait and see. I know there's been a lot of people that are worried about it. Um, and one other soccer note, Mbappe leaving PSG. That is the question right now. He has said he will not
Wow.
do his player option going into not this season, but the next season. So PSG had
Hmm.
basically said, we do not want to lose you for free. We're going to have to sell you. And Mbappe says, I don't want to go
Wow.
anywhere this year. So it's really, I
Hmm.
don't know what's going to happen. Man City's already said they're not going to sign him. Real Madrid would be the
Yeah.
favorite, but there's a lot going on with financial stuff there. So who
Hmm.
knows what's going to happen with Mbappe?
Liverpool.
And Liverpool is too cheap. There's no way they would pay whatever the price Mbappe is going to be. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it would be
Yeah,
ridiculous.
like it would probably be the most expensive transfer in history. Um, so
Jeez,
will he leave
that's
PSG?
crazy.
No one knows. We'll just have to wait and see. But that will be something to watch this
Yeah.
summer.
Yeah. All right, and now getting into the WNBA. Had a fun week. So, one Tuesday night, I got to go to the Fever game. They were playing the Mystics, and it was shockingly a Fever just destruction of the Mystics. They won 87-66 by 21 points. I think my math is right there. Elena Deladon was her normal self. She had 17.6 rebounds, 3 blocks. Kelsey Mitchell had a 19-point game, and Christy Wallace was all over the place off the bench with 8 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and a steal in the block. So she has been a key piece to the Fever's season so far, and a really big and kind of surprising piece from the trade we had with Atlanta earlier. And then we of course talk about them, but obviously we've got to talk about Aaliyah Boston. She is absolutely amazing. I have talked so much about her and I guess yelled her name so much in my house that my MacBook now, anytime I type out Aaliyah Boston, automatically autocorrects it to all caps. So that's lovely. Um, but yeah, she made Fever and WNBA history with 23 points, 14 rebounds, 6 assists. She is the youngest player at 21 days and 100 no 21 years and 184 days old. Um, but the youngest player in WNBA history to have a game with 20 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists, and make 75% field goal percentage, and the first player in Fever history to do that. So, I mean, just absolutely amazing. Already, that is her 11th game in as a rookie and already making history. We're getting to the point now where she's scoring 20 every night, and it's not even a shock. So, yeah, it's going to be fun to keep talking about her as the season goes on. But yeah, she had 1 block that game. I think it was Elena Deladon trying to drive on her and make a layup where she literally just put her hands up and swallowed the ball up. It was just beautiful. And then yeah, getting more into the WNBA. The Dream had an amazing road trip, probably one of the best that you could ever ask for if you are the Dream. They went 3-1. So they started with a loss in Connecticut on Sunday. It was 89-77, but it was a big night for a lot of people. 8 players scored in double digits. We had Dewana Bonner score 15. Alyssa Thomas had 17 points, 12 rebounds, getting another double double. Bree Jones had 18 points. And then off the bench, former Gamecock Taisha Harris had 15 points. And then Carrington had 12. So 5 players total for the Suns scored in double digits. And then the Dream had Cheyenne Parker with a 20-point, 14 rebound night. Alicia Gray, another former Gamecock, with 18 points, 6 assists, 3 steals. And then Ryan Howard, former Rookie of the Year, with 16 points. So crazy night. That was their only loss of the road trip, though, because then they go to New York, they go to Brooklyn and shock the Liberty 86-79. All 5 of New York starters scored in double digits. There were 6 players, though, from the Dream that did the same thing. Benai Jelani had 17 on 9 for 14 true shooting, which is amazing. Stewie had 12 point, 13 rebound, double double. John Quell Jones, MVP 2 years ago, had 12 points. Courtney Vandersloot, 11 points. Maureen Johannes had 18 points. She is really coming alive from 3. these last few games, she has shot really well from behind the arc. So that's really good for New York. And that's once she gets going and Jonquel Jones can get going, they're going to be scary. They're going to be looking like the Aces are looking now. Currently, I think they're sitting at third in the league, right behind the Sun as far as record goes. But then the Dream, they had the one up the Liberty. They had 6 players scoring double digits. Where am I here? Yeah, you had Coffee with 12 points, Alicia Gray with 16, Ryan Howard with 12, Haley Jones with 13, rookie starting to come alive and play well. And then off the bench, Billings with 12, AD Durr with 13. Looking good. They then have to go back to Connecticut and play the Sun again, and they get an overtime win, 92-88. The big thing I want to talk about here is, one, the trio of Bonner, Thomas, and Jones combining for 71 points, a double-double for Bree Jones. That still was not enough for Cheyenne Parker's 19 points, Ryan Howard's 19 points, but none of it would even matter because Alicia Gray decided she was not going to come out at all this game. This game went to overtime. She played all 45 minutes, and her stat line was 27 points, 71% from field goal, 50% from 3, and 10 rebounds, 2 assists. An absolute insane night. You don't see players play the entire game this early in the season, but I'm imagining the Fevers or the Dreams coach was just like, "Yeah, you're going off. You need to stay out there." And Alicia Gray is not going to come out if she doesn't want to because that's just how she rolls. So Alicia Gray is coming alive in every one of these games so far, and even the next one that I'm about to talk about. She has scored close to 20 points, if not more. And man, last year she got passed up for an All-Star slot. I don't see how that happens this year. I know I'm voting for her on my cast because she is a former Gamecock, trying to get as many Gamecocks in there as I can. But man, the Dream finish up the week with a win in Indiana, sadly, 194. It was a weird game. The Fever kind of looked bad all game, but were somehow in it the whole time. At the end there, they almost got a win within the last minute. I think the last minute of the game probably lasted 10 minutes in real life. It was awful. One of those stressful games. But Cheyenne Parker had 15 points, 7 rebounds. Alicia Gray, 25 points. Ryan Howard was absolutely electric. 21 points, 6 rebounds, 1 assist, 1 steal, 1 block. But then, of course, Aaliyah Boston, 25 points, 6 rebounds, 4 blocks this game. So absolutely all over the place on the offensive and defensive end. Her presence in the paint is just making all the difference in the world. Kelsey Mitchell had 24 points. And again, Christy Wallace being that huge role player, the 6th woman of the year, hopefully, with 13 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 2 steals. There's a lot of good stuff happening in the WNBA. The Dream are finding their stride, which is scary because they have some people who can score. And they could be up there and be a dark horse to make a run in the playoffs if they can keep this alive. And then that's all I got for the WNBA besides my game of the week, obviously. We all know it's going to be. But other than that, get your all-star votes in. The break is coming up, I think, July 17th. So make sure you get your votes in. We'll be on to next.
All right,
NBA.
so NBA and NHL finals both end in 5 games. Pretty disappointing. I feel like usually you get further than that. Both sides and NBA and NHL, especially NHL, always feels like it's close. But both of them end in 5. Not much to talk about really. Nuggets dominated. I mean, it wasn't too much going on. And then with the NHL, was it the Knights, right? Win in 5. So altogether, not too much going on with either of those to discuss. And did you see the final score of the last game of the NHL finals? 9-3.
It was it was like a
9-3. That's just kind of ridiculous to end off like that, but that's how it went. Jokic and Jamal Murray carried the Nuggets to their first title.
Obviously.
Impressive season for both those guys. Then let's just go ahead and move on to NBA offseason. Really some interesting stuff starting to happen.
The rumor mill is meal. The rumor mill is spinning and it's getting juicy. And again, it's one of those things where it's like we're gonna hear everything possible that could happen, and then none of it will happen, and whoever will be traded to some random team nobody ever talked about. But man, it's such a
I
fun
mean,
ride. I love
it's
summer
already
in the
started for
NBA.
real with Bradley Beal to the Suns for
Yep,
basically
it
nothing.
has. That's
Um,
crazy. That how do you not have to give up a first rounder for Bradley Beal? I know he's older, but
Apparently, it was
come
his
on, Chris
contract was just
Paul.
so bad, but wow, that just seems like, and it's Chris
I mean, it
Paul. They're
was,
gonna
but
buy
come
him out
on.
most likely, so he won't even be on the team.
Yeah, he's going to be
So
back in
like that
LA.
is just crazy. Um,
Yeah, I can't
then
believe
we have
that.
Zion possibly getting traded. He's had his own drama
Ye-
going on, which we won't talk about, but it.
No, we won't. This is we got to have. We'll just say we would have to have an after dark
Yeah.
version of this podcast, which I would be willing to do to talk about this drama. But yeah. So he's expected to be traded by Thursday, according to Bill Simmons. Who knows if that'll happen? But yeah, it's very possible. And then later on, Kevin O'Connor tweeted apparently that the Blazers reportedly prefer Zion over Brandon Ingram for a potential trade for
Hmm.
the 3 pick. Again, I don't know why. I know the
Yeah.
Hornets had a rumor where it
Yeah.
was the opposite, and honestly, I agree. Like why do you want a star who doesn't play? It seems like he's perfectly healthy. In the offseason, all-star breaks, in between games, he's playing at the YMCA, doing insane dunks everywhere else. But he can't stay in shape enough to play
And
games
they,
during the
he had
season.
he
And it's
had that
cost the
quote. He was
Pelicans.
like, "I'm 99%, but I don't want to start playing until I'm 100%." And it's like, dude, you gotta play. Like, I love Zion from Spartanburg, went to Duke, like,
Yeah.
but you gotta play.
Yeah.
I feel like I haven't even watched a game of him in the NBA. Like,
Dude,
he's
it's
got to
crazy.
play, and I
It's
agree.
so
I
weird.
would take Brandon Ingram over him at this point. Proven
Yeah,
to
I
stay on the
agree.
court, and he's good. I mean,
Oh my gosh, he is
Zion,
so good. He's the best player
yeah,
on that team right
100%.
now.
Zion is just a question mark that you can't really rely on. He hasn't. I don't
Hmm.
think he's ever played close to a full season, as far as I remember.
No, I think the best bet would be his first season,
Yeah,
which he
I
definitely
mean,
didn't. So
it was like I if the Hornets trade for Zion, of course I'll be happy, but I'll also be worried what
yeah,
it could lead to because who knows.
yeah, that's crazy. Well, I do have something before this, but let's just go ahead and talk about the Hornets since they've also been in the news. It is confirmed. It came out Thursday or Friday, I believe, that Michael Jordan is selling the Hornets. Apparently, they're already sold to some Charlotte bidding group. I know that J. Cole is part of it, or at least there's like an agreement. So they just got to get it finalized, and I guess it'll be done. So it makes me think that when this rumor came out months ago, maybe it was already in the works, and they just wanted to wait until it was basically done to announce it. Um, but no, really, I would say exciting, but also could be scary for the Hornets. Exciting things is obviously if you can get an owner who is aggressive and willing to make not only moves, but hire people to make good moves that the Hornets and Michael Jordan specifically absolutely have not done in the past. So you have that opportunity to just completely rebrand everything, kind of like what the Panthers did. Maybe they followed the same blueprint that David Tepper did and just rebrand it, become really aggressive, and become contenders because that's what the Panthers have done. But not only that, you also have the opportunity for the WNBA team, the Sting, to come back because expansion is going to be happening there too. Those are the exciting points. I would say it's possibly scary because new owner means they have possibly no attachment to
I,
Charlotte,
I don't think they're
and
going anywhere.
it could move it somewhere else. I don't either, especially with like J. Cole in the group, but that's always a
So first
possibility.
off, it's nothing but good for me. Finally, that's over.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
I
I
don't
agree.
care. It was never getting better. It just had to be done.
Mm-mm.
Here's what I think is the strategical move that they need to do. If probably not going to do it, but what Drake is to the Raptors, that's what J. Cole needs to be to the Hornets.
Oh, yep.
Give him that gives him
I
more
agree.
national spotlight.
I
Have J.
agree.
Cole get relationships with players, recruit him there, and you think that might not be a big deal, but I
Yep.
think That is a huge deal because
It
the
is.
impact Drake has had on the
Yeah.
Raptors, who knows if they get their trophy without him,
Mhm.
honestly, because he is such a big part of that
Yeah.
organization and their success. And I know it probably sounds crazy, but I think really you need to try something new because what's working right now,
Mhm.
overpaying a mediocre star player to come play for us, it just doesn't work. Gordon Hayward, Nick
Yeah.
Batum, none of that works.
No.
We either get someone big
Nope.
or draft good and hopefully keep them. Like right now, we got to hope LaMelo just
Yeah.
stays next year because or whenever his contract's up.
You do, and you gotta hope that you hit
You're right.
on this number 2 pick or trade it for somebody who is a star. Like, you've gotta trade it for somebody good. It can't be like a Minnesota trade that happened last year. You've gotta hit on a trade or
I
hit
think
on a pick.
if they, it'll be
But,
interesting if they do trade for Zion. Those tickets could potentially, if they want to sell tickets, that's what they'll do because Zion coming close to home, basically back home, and you add
yeah,
that with Lamelo.
it does.
That's what they'll do.
But does he play?
That
That's the
is the big
question,
thing, and I know
and
people.
that's the scary thing. But, I mean,
I know
even
people have said
go
that
ahead, go ahead.
there's a theory that Zion has been sitting out because he doesn't want to play for the Pelicans and he wants to get traded. So
Yeah, I've heard
maybe
that
that is
too.
it, and he
Yeah.
once he gets to Charlotte, he'll be okay. But who
Mhm.
knows?
But the thing is, with that line of thought, you can't count out Brandon Ingram either
Yeah,
because he played at Duke. He's a homegrown hero right there. Which, I mean, Zion did too, and he's from South Carolina. But still, yeah, either way, you get a player. Obviously, I'm not going to argue this point. Brandon Ingram's not
yeah.
selling more tickets than Zion. But again, you get that star who you know is going to play and you know is going to be there and play well.
And I also think
Um,
Zion and
yeah, I
Lamelo
think.
as a
Go,
recruiting, like you got two young guys that
oh
are
my God,
superstars.
dude, it would be
Yeah,
Lob City. It would be Lob City if Zion plays. That's the thing. But even now, I'm thinking it could be Lob City with Brandon Ingram too, because he's tall and lanky, and
yeah.
he. I think either one is a good trade. It's just scarier because Zion is not in shape, has proven issues with staying available, and Brandon Ingram is the very opposite. He's the player people have always wanted on their team. So, yeah, man, we'll see what happens there. And then moving on to my last news I have with the NBA, Draymond Green is declining his $27.5 million player option for this season, which I don't know. It's interesting to me. Maybe he's doing this because Golden State wants to bring him back. They want to
That's the only
restructure a
way it.
deal because they feel
Yeah,
like
that's
he's
the only way
paying
it would
them
make
too
sense to me
much.
because why would there's no way he's getting anything close to that anywhere else.
I wouldn't. I would not think so. I don't know what's going to happen with the Warriors because there's a lot of talk of Jordan Poole getting traded just because of one, the drama there was last offseason with him and Draymond and just the team in general. It was rumored he was getting kind of I don't know what's the word, like a
Yeah.
diva ish, really not about basketball, more about off the court things, not having his head in the right place. And then of course there was the altercation between Draymond and Poole. And then obviously Poole did not he played awful this season and they just paid him a lot of money. So he's a I think he's still a good young player that you could get a good haul out of if you traded him. But also he's somebody you could possibly build around, especially if you can get him back to what he was. Thinking about Steph doesn't have that much longer left. He's healthy. He can still play well, but he's getting upper 30s. Clay doesn't have that much longer left. He has had injury issues, and he's getting to the point where he might not even start for the team if, say, Poole catches fire this offseason. So, and then Draymond just had so many things happen this season with him, just with all his off the court things and his podcast and all that. And on top of that, not playing well. I would be shocked if he's going to get paid more by the Warriors, especially since they just had the general man, Bob Myers, resign. I don't
I
see how
think
that
the answer
happens.
for the Warriors is very clear. Send Steph Curry home to the Charlotte Hornets.
Uh
Rebuild.
huh. Uh huh.
Just call it an end to the era. Let Steph Curry come home. That's the obvious answer. So yeah, pretty easy.
I mean, that would be good. It would be cool to see. I don't think Steph would be against that
I
either
think
because
at
he
one point he
said
said
that
he
would be
wouldn't.
cool.
He wouldn't
I feel
mind
like
coming
I've
home
heard
for a
that before.
season.
Yeah,
Hopefully he does someday, but who knows? All right,
that would
let's
be
move
cool. Yeah,
on to
moving on.
college baseball. College World Series is in full swing officially. So far, we have one team eliminated, Virginia. One of the best teams in the nation, honestly. Kind of surprising they're one of the first ones to go out, sadly, or not sadly, depending on if you like Virginia or not. Now, right now, at the moment, Tennessee and Stanford are in an elimination game, top of the eighth. Tennessee is up 6-4. So that one's almost over. Loser of that will also be out. All right. And then tomorrow, I believe, is the next elimination game, which will be TCU versus Oral Roberts. And then there'll be, I believe, 2 games a day for the rest of the week. Tonight, you also have LSU Wake Forest. That should be an amazing matchup. Both of those are just powerhouses. So, yeah, a lot of exciting things started. College World Series is in full swing. One-run games, except for only one game, has not been a one-run game. Everyone else,
Was it the Wake
hold
Forest
on,
game?
let me confirm. It
Didn't
was
who
like
did they
no,
beat
it was
like
the LSU game.
21 to
LSU beat
something?
Tennessee 6-3. Every other game has been
Ah,
decided by one run. So
mm,
so far a great tournament. Highly recommend checking it out.
mhm.
Yeah. So let's go ahead and move on to college football. So, if you missed it this week,
Woo-woo.
SEC announces their opponents for the 2024 year. Normally, not a big deal, but with the institution of the new schedule creation process, as far as Oklahoma and Texas being added to the fold, no more divisions.
Yeah.
Um, some rivalries
Mhm.
have been wiped away, it seems, for the moment. And it kind of
I mean,
they'll
I
be
think they'll be
back,
back,
but it just
but
creates the questions: are yearly rivalries
yeah.
over? Are you those teams that certain teams face every year?
Mm.
Is that just an over now? Like, will Alabama LSU be guaranteed to play every year? I don't know. So yeah,
I mean, I don't
exactly.
think so because I have always felt that South Carolina Georgia, even though it's not one of the premier rivalries of the SEC, they're our number 2 rival right behind Clemson. So that makes them our number 1 SEC rival, and that's a game I thought I would never see not played in a year. But
And see,
here we
it's
are,
funny. I
2024.
think South
They're not going
Carolina's
to play.
top three SEC rivals, all three of them are not even on the schedule. Georgia is not on it. Florida's not on
No.
it. Tennessee's on it. And if
Yep.
you ask me to name our top
Nope.
three rival games in the SEC, it would be those three teams. So
That's
it's
who I would
just so
say.
far I feel like really affected South Carolina, but I'm interested to see if in the coming
Hmm.
years will we see other teams have this problem where they're missing all their big games, and not to say we don't have big games because and they got
Yeah.
replaced with LSU, Alabama,
Yeah.
Oklahoma. So
I mean, yeah. So we have to go to Oklahoma, to Alabama. That'll be amazing. And
yep,
then LSU comes to us, so we get to replay that from the 2015 like hurricane that happened,
right.
where we had to go to LSU, and then we get Vandy. So hopefully that's an easy win, but who knows? I know last year it wasn't. But then speaking of other games, we do get
Yep.
Texas A&M back. That'll be fun. What was some other good ones? I
Texas
feel like
has
Texas had
Texas,
Texas
Georgia,
and Georgia
Texas,
play,
Florida,
don't they?
um,
Yeah, yeah.
and then let's see,
Both of those are going to be good.
Oklahoma.
They play LSU too, don't they?
Texas does not play LSU. Oklahoma. Oh, all right. Let's just
Okay,
go.
they play
I'm going to read
Oklahoma.
you
Okay,
Oklahoma's full slate. Let me just say they are not being
yeah, let's
kind
do
to
it.
the new arrival. At home, they have Alabama, South
Good.
Carolina, Tennessee, Texas. Away, they have Auburn, LSU,
Mm,
Ole Miss, Missouri. So no Kentucky, no
man,
Vanderbilt, no
yeah,
maybe Mississippi State sometimes. Like they got
yep,
some pretty difficult
yeah.
games. Texas, their whole schedule is
Mm-hmm.
Florida, Georgia, Kentucky, Mississippi State, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Texas A&M, and Vanderbilt. Um, so Oklahoma, I'm
Mm-hmm.
interested to see how
Yeah,
they do in the SEC. Man, it's gonna be fun.
yeah, dude. I'm excited to see this because I feel like it's going to be the first time in a long time where I feel like just every game we're going to watch with Oklahoma or Texas in it, this SEC game, the crowds are just going to be so loud. Whether it's in Oklahoma at home or Texas at home, their crowds are going to be loud because they're trying to prove they can hang with people in the SEC. And then, of course, the away games, they're going to be loud because we're like, what are you doing here? Go back to the Big 12. You're garbage. And it's just like very reminiscent in my mind of like an NBA team or fans who a player left and went to another team and now they're coming back home for a game. I don't know. It's going to be nice to hear those crowds and just
And
get that SEC
I would
noise back.
argue those two
Ah,
additions to
man.
the SEC are like two of the biggest of all any college football ever adding to a conference like this, like in the 2000s
Yeah.
from then on. I mean, there's been, the ACC had their big adding
Mm-hmm.
of Louisville and all those schools. That was big, but this kind of marks like a
Yeah.
new territory. Like the SEC is insanely loaded with just brands.
Yep.
It's not just good
I don't
football
think we're
teams.
done.
They're brands. I mean, you have Alabama, Texas,
Mm-hmm.
Oklahoma,
Yeah.
LSU, Florida, Georgia. You're talking like top.
Yep.
They probably have 8 of the top 10 brands in college football. Maybe you can make some arguments for other ones, but it is just
Yep.
crazy what they've done.
I don't think they're done. I don't know how far this expansion is going to go or like how fast it'll kind of catch fire. But we've already heard rumblings of the ACC having 7 schools that want to leave. We talked about that about a month ago. And 2 of those schools that are in there are 2 more big brands, Clemson and Florida State, who I think would be easy placements in the SEC because you have 2, even though I guess rivalries might kind of be gone, you have 2 rivals right there with Florida, Florida State, Carolina, Clemson. What else did I want to say? Oh, one other thing we saw with schedules. Who was it that was playing their rival? I think Georgia. Their entire 2024 schedule is out for some reason. Like, because I've seen a side-by-side picture because their 2023 schedule is ridiculously easy. But then in 24, they play harder teams because the SEC grows, and then they just have like Clemson, I think, in the early season. But they play Georgia Tech, which is their normally the Thanksgiving Day or weekend game, the rivalry game. They play them like before SEC play
That's weird.
starts. So let me make sure I can find that. But yeah, that's gonna be weird because we're gonna see that with everything else. Kentucky, Louisville, Carolina, Clemson. It's gonna be really weird. Let's see. Georgia 2024. All right, I got it up here.
I think that was wrong. Yeah, I'm looking at this.
Well,
one.
this says I'm wrong now. Okay, it is wrong. Okay, good. Yep.
Let's just point
Good.
out.
I hope that is wrong.
Just because I just looked at it. Looking ahead, they play Clemson to
Yeah.
start the year off in 2024. Woo!
Yeah, they do. Yep, that's gonna
All
be a
right.
good game.
I think we are. Oh wait, you got one?
Oh man. And then
Okay.
well, I have one last thing with this. Please tell me you saw Mississippi
I did.
State's
That was
AI
scary.
reveal. If you don't know, Mississippi State. When did these come out?
something like
Wednesday,
that.
Thursday? I think Wednesday. Mississippi State revealed their SEC opponents for 2024 with a picture, and I'm gonna describe it to you in beautiful detail. So on one side they have the home opponents. On the other side they have away opponents. In the very middle they have their bulldog, like the live mascot. Very easy to imagine, just a Mississippi State bulldog. And then under the home and away, they have who their opponent is with an AI recreation of that team's mascot. So Peyton, do you have it pulled up right here? Or no? Okay. Well, once you get it pulled up, I would love for you to just describe what some of these AI guys.
I know there's the
like.
Texas A&M thumb.
Yeah, from their gig.
The Gator.
I have it in my pictures. Let me send it real quick.
He is like, I don't even know how to describe the Gator.
The Tennessee orange is beautiful. I just sent it to you.
A Syracuse. Like that's the vibe I got from it. It looks like Syracuse. Yeah, the Gator is rocking a 6-pack. I don't even know what's going on with the hog from Arkansas. No. I think my favorite is definitely the Texas A&M one. Georgia is scary. Yeah. So
the bulldog.
It is definitely hilarious.
Where'd this go? Yeah, the gator's weird because it has like blue on the top of the head and then running down some of the like jaw. The hog, yeah, that's scary. The thumb is beautiful, obviously. I don't know. I kind of like Bevo. Bevo's kind of cool. He's just like a little
Uh,
farmer bull. Oh man. Alrighty. Well, that's all for college football. Moving on to our games
So
of
I
the
will go
week. You want to go
first.
first or
I'm going to
me?
have one and then an honorable mention because I forgot to mention it earlier.
Beautiful.
First is game of the week,
Okay.
College World Series Championship. For game one will be Saturday at 7 p.m. Sunday at 3 p.m. will be game two. Both of them are on ESPN. I don't know who knows who will be in it, but it should be a great into it. As far as it's gone so far, the way it's gone so far, I would say it seems like it's going to be close games throughout. Who I expect, I'll say Wake Forest, and then I'll say Florida. Zach?
Ooh, okay. Alrighty. My game of the week is, I believe, also ESPN's WNBA game of the week. Surprise, surprise, is another WNBA game. I'm going to shove it down your throats, and that's how it is. Mystics versus Liberty. Sunday, 1 o'clock on ABC. This should be an amazing game. You have just the amazing cast that the Liberty have and their players, Brianna Stewart, Courtney Vandersloot, Jonquel Jones, Sabrina Ionescu. And then they have the Mystics coming into town who have Elena Deladon, Brittany Sykes, and just their crazy cast. Not only that, you also get the number 2 offense in the league, which is the Liberty. They are scoring 86 points per game versus the number 1 defense in the league in the Mystics, who are only allowing 73.7 points per game. So it's going to be fun to see the best of the best in offense versus the best in defense. We'll see if that defense can get enough stops to stop that crazy offense, or if offense and points rule all. It's kind of hard to stop Stewie. That's how I think it's probably going to go because Stewie's just outrageous and she is just shines bright in the prime time. So, but yeah, should be 2 or 3 now. Great games that'll happen this weekend. Make sure you catch them. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe
Oh,
our
wait,
video.
honorable mention. I forgot
We
to
need
say.
it.
Opening match of the
Oh,
World
I
Lacrosse
thought you
Men's
said it. Whoops.
Championship is a rematch of the championship gold medal match from the previous one, which was, I believe,
Ooh.
2018, because it goes 4 years, but they had a break for some reason.
Mm.
It will be USA versus Canada, 10 p.m. I thought it was 7 p.m., but it's in San Diego. So 10 p.m. ESPN 2. I will definitely be watching.
Ugh.
It should be a great game. The two favorites facing off in the first match. So yeah, it'll be a good one to watch. Wednesday, 10 p.m. ESPN 2.
Mm-hmm.
And then also the rest of the week, they will be on
Nice.
ESPN Plus if you want to watch any
Alrighty.
lacrosse.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think that's
it.
all we got this week. Thank you for joining us.
Goodbye.
Any last words, Peyton? Goodbye.